everybody, this is Bernie.
And I'm Meg.
I have Meg Turney with me, and we're going to play Super Meat Boy, which, as far as I understand, Meg, you are like a expert at this game. I fucking hate this game because it drives me insane.
I am certainly not an expert, but I do love to play Super Meat Boy.
Which is weird that I don't like this game, I think, because... Or not like this game, that it aggravates me as much as it does. I actually do like the game. Because it's so much like the games I grew up with, you know? Of just,
right.
like, super hard platformers. And I know it's designed that way.
Right.
You know?
It's one of the... Like, I had the Resident Evil Xbox 360, like the Collector's Edition one. It was red and super hot. And it came with one red controller. Oh. And, I broke it playing this game. I threw it at a wall when I couldn't beat the last level, and I absolutely cracked one of the sticks on it.
How many levels are there? Is it possible?
There's a bunch of worlds. We won't get to the end.
Okay, so I'm just scared that I'm going to have to play, and that'll be horrifying.
Yeah, you won't have to play toward the end.
I like the idea of you playing. So, I think it's, one of the things we always do on Game Time is talk about, like, how did you get started?
Yeah.
Because that's, like, the number one question that people always ask us at events is, how do I get going? How do I get going in this thing? And you've had a long career, or at least, I should maybe long is the right word, but varied career in online media.
Yes.
And so I think you would have a unique perspective on it. So how did you get going? Like, what was your first experience with video games?
So my first experience with video games is I have two older brothers who played video games since I can remember. So I basically waited in the wings until someone had to pee, and then I got to play Chun-Li on Street Fighter whenever somebody else was peeing.
Which Street Fighter?
Oh, God. Street Fighter 2, maybe?
Yeah. Was it a Super Nintendo
Yeah,
or
Super
Sega
Nintendo.
Genesis?
But we also had a McDonald's near us that had an arcade, and so we would go sometimes. That was my oldest brother. He's 9 years older than me. That was his first job.
9 years? That's pretty serious spread.
That was his first job, was McDonald's. Oh, goddamn. So sometimes I would go watch him at work and play Street Fighter on the arcade machine.
Man, when I was a kid, my first experience with geography was knowing where Meg is already her fists are clenching.
No, it's cool.
Was knowing where all the video games were. I remember specifically there was a game Galaxian that I had never played, and it was in a bar, and I could see it in the window, but I wasn't old enough to go to the bar. But I'd never heard of a McDonald's that had video games in it.
Yeah, it was in the play area. It had a little arcade. And
it had Street Fighter.
Yeah, it's Street Fighter. We also had a Tempest machine in my house growing up.
Get the fuck out of here. You had an arcade machine in your house?
My mom still has it.
Dude, I remember this date me big time. I used to watch Ricky Schroeder in Silver Spoons. It was a TV show. And they had arcades in their house. And I literally was like, one day.
Yeah.
One day I'll have that. In fact, when we bought that arcade system that we had at the old office down on South Congress, it was such a personal milestone for me.
That was how I felt about my... Oh, God damn it. That's how I felt about my DDR machine. I have said several times, when I could afford a DDR machine and a place to put it, then I have made it. I did not afford the place to put it currently, but I did buy the machine myself, and it was a big accomplishment.
You currently have a place where it can be placed, then.
Yes.
That makes sense. And I remember the day you got that thing, it's was Blaine went over to help?
Blaine, Patrick, and someone else came over. To help me move it in. They scratched our wood floor putting it in.
Really?
Gavin already wanted to excommunicate the machine from our house, and I didn't make it any easier.
No.
It was in our second living room. Now it's been in the new house quarantined to the garage. I have to go out into the garage of solitude whenever I want to play DDR.
Why DDR?
Oh, I love DDR. I just love rhythm games in general. I loved Frequency and Bust a Groove, and I just love rhythm games.
How good are you at DDR? I'll get a scale of 1 to Monty. How good are you?
You know what? Monty and I never got to play. He wanted to come and play my machine, and he sadly never got to, but I don't know, because I've never seen Monty play DDR. I've seen videos of him playing DDR, but we've never gone head-to-head.
That is, to me, that's one of the hardest things, is all the things that didn't happen.
It's all the things that we never had a housewarming party at our new house, but we were when Monty died, it was he never got to see our house. All the things that you were oh, we'll do it next week. Oh, we'll do it next month or whatever. It was such a huge wake up call on so many levels of you cannot put off anything because you never know.
For me, it was, it's all the shows I know that he had in his head that that he didn't tell anybody about. It's that to me is that to me is like the team that's doing RWBY is the team that Monty built, but it's like all those shows that could have been. That's what I think about.
I think about more like when we see RWBY in Japan, like here's a big RWBY in Akihabara sign, and like he'll never know that RWBY made it all that way and was that successful.
You know, I think about that too. I went through that with Red versus Blue because, you know, the technology to put video online didn't exist until I was in my late 20s. I mean, this just really wasn't a thing. And so when I made the first episodes of Red vs. Blue and then started Rooster Teeth, my mom actually died 6 months before that. I actually don't know where I had the creative energy to start Rooster Teeth and start Red vs. Blue. I don't know where it came from because, you know, it was such a thing dealing with my mom dying. But it's weird to me. Every now and then I stop and think, my mom had no idea that I did this thing or that I made this show that was like one of the most important things in my life. And she had no idea about it. She has no
concept of who you've become at this point.
Yeah, she didn't know the words Red versus Blue, or they didn't mean anything to her. So you get back to your growing up. So your brother, you would go
my
play
older
Street Fighter.
brothers always playing video games.
My mom reminds me so much of Activision games in the 80s.
This is Commander Video. Oh man, I'm gonna lose all my Commander Video lives.
Oh, so you're playing Commander Video.
Yeah. God, no, I have to go back to the damn world. My mom plays video games as well, so I just come from like I was just really fortunate to like I never had the parents that didn't know, like my parents helped me fix my computer, so like I never had parents that were like I can't get on the internet, like I just never had to deal with that.
Well, that's pretty cool. My parents were definitely a generation removed from me because they had me so late, so it was like I was, you know, my dad taught me to like work on cars and like he was a true recycler, like he would wash out pickle jars and keep them, you know what I mean? And I had to teach them about what the internet was and high-def television.
Yeah. So I like, whenever Gavin's mom was like, can you fix this? And I'm like, oh, my mom could fix that for you. Like, I just didn't have that. So I've been playing video games for as long as I can remember.
You and your mom used to play WoW, right?
Yeah, my mom and we still try to every now and again. But yeah, she's better than me at anything MMO related. She's always like, "Oh, Meg, what did you do? You spent a skill point on that, idiot. Let me show you where you're supposed to spend it." And I'm like, "Thanks, Meg.
Let me send you 80 wiki articles that don't support your little theory here."
Exactly. Like and my grandmother plays WoW. Like when my grandfather died was right around the time that my mom and my grandmother discovered WoW, and so it's just something they do together. And you never like I love my grandmother so much. She's what got me really into cosplay. But you never want to be paired with Mo in WoW, because she'll always be like, where'd you go? Like, where my mom could kick anyone's ass, Mo was like, what the hell's happening here?
She's lost all the time.
But she's actually, it's funny because she's in a guild, she raids, and, like, her guildies have no clue how old she is. They're always like, dude, I won't say her WoW name, but dude, bleep, how old are you? And she's like, shut up, nobody has to know. So,
I like you said bleep.
Yeah.
we have that technology here. We can bleep it if you want to.
People always are like, so I think her guildies think she's probably like in her 30s or 40s because she sounds very young.
Yeah.
But yeah, she plays like they have no clue how old she is.
Wow, that's awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
You know, I have to think like the idea of what it takes to retire has changed so much because like for gaming, I think when I'm 70 years old, I think I'll be playing RPG and adventure games, you know, and all I'll need at that point in my life is a good computer and a decent internet connection.
Yep. My grandmother still does. She played Warcraft. She loves Diablo. Like, so these aren't like things she caught on too late. So I mean, she just hangs out and has fun and is enjoying it.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
So both your brothers play video games.
Yeah.
And then you picked it up, and then was it like gaming an important part of your teenage years?
Less so. We had a PS2. I think that was kind of everybody's. Oh, son of a cock. That was kind of everybody's teenage years. That's my age.
This is only gonna get worse, by the way. At this point,
absolutely. But I actually dated a kid in high school who played Halo, who would always like stand on my head and then kill me. Was like,
in the game.
Yeah, exactly. Just shoot me in real life.
That's a weird date.
But it was so funny. I was relegated to like, somebody has to pee at the LAN party, so I get to play in Halo while everybody's peeing. Like, it was a funny like come around for that.
God, it's so hard to remember. You know, I don't think people have a concept of that Halo came out before Xbox Live.
Yeah.
And the first Halo, you had to go to people's house. And you had to have a LAN party.
Yep.
You know?
Ryan's house, Saturday night, we're going to have that LAN party, everyone. And it was like...
big tube TVs, you're all carrying them over.
And then everybody would get in different rooms because we'd be like, stop, guys, don't tell them where I am. Like,
you know, it's that kind of thing where it's like, that was the inspiration for Red vs. Blue, was we would do that at my house in Buda, and we'd be yelling back and forth.
Yeah.
And in particular, I would constantly yell at Gus's friend, Frank, from Eagle Pass. who is now, by the time this comes out, he's going to end up hosting one of our shows that's coming out pretty soon.
Cool.
I don't know when we're going to put this one out, but it's so funny because it's like I used to just like yell at Frank because he always ended up on my team, and it's like those were the kind of like yelling from room to room that if you look at the first episodes of Red vs. Blue, it's very inspired by those moments.
Yeah, I love it. I love like the old gaming where I used to like Super Nintendo is really my jam. Like that's where my bread and butter is. That's where I'm happiest is when I'm playing Super Nintendo, and having to go over to people's houses and. God, I remember finding out the hard way that if you ran out of time in Super Mario World that your guy died when my older brother was like, watch my man, don't play him. And then Mario just randomly died on the screen. It was like,
what happened?
It wasn't me, I swear.
Did he blame you?
Oh, absolutely.
He didn't know either? He didn't pause it?
No, I didn't pause it.
Or did you unpause it?
No, I did not unpause it. I definitely did not.
And is that your brother who's 9 years older than you?
Yeah, Rob is 9 years older than me, and then my other older brother, Dustin, is 3 years older than me.
That's like, 9 years older is like an adult.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's, Mom made bad fertility choices in high school and then decided to be a little more responsible. So there's a gap there.
Yeah, well, we are. My boys are 4 years apart, and I was worried about that. My brother and I were 2 years apart, but we were never really all that close. Like,
yeah, so you either get like hyper close siblings with like a close gap like that, or you get like siblings that absolutely couldn't stand each other.
Yeah. And
my brother and I are born 2 days apart, so we always had like joint birthday parties, and
That's the worst.
Like, yeah.
When's your birthday?
March 12th.
March 12th. Okay, so you got a decent birthday. I had a thing where my birthday is about 20 days after Christmas.
Oh,
so
you got the
like,
dual present.
Such a bummer, you know. It's always like, well, you just had Christmas, so blah,
yeah,
blah.
The old dual present.
My brother's worse. I was like January 4th. It's like, this is blah. It's
yeah.
that week and a half where nobody's doing anything, you know?
Yeah. No, mine was always on spring break, so it was always like...
That's pretty cool.
Everybody was gone. Well, it was cool and not cool, so it was like everybody would be gone for your birthday. You couldn't really have a birthday party.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kids who have summer birthdays, too. It's like there's something about being in school when it's your birthday when you're growing up. So you played video games. You said the Super Nintendo was your jam?
Yeah, absolutely my jam.
And
I mean, we had like regular Nintendo. I think we had ColecoVision, all that stuff.
Yeah, but the big thing I had in my like teenage years was a Commodore 64. So I actually was more of a PC gamer. I think got known more as being a console Xbox gamer, but I got back into console gaming because Matt and I, there was a big ice storm in Austin, and we went, this is going to sound like caveman talk, we went down to Blockbuster Video, and you could rent consoles.
Yeah!
We rented an N64, and what is it, Mario World or Mario 3D?
64?
Mario 64.
Yeah.
You know, the
Super Mario 64.
Yeah, the main title for it. Played that. I don't think we got GoldenEye then, but we did that, and it was like, we had a case of Cokes out on the porch, so they were freezing slowly, and then we would drink these like super icy Cokes and played Mario 64 for like an entire weekend, and then after that point I was a console gamer again.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've always had PCs in the house, and my brother, we've mainly been console gamers until, I guess until we all weren't really. Like, I guess maybe around high school was when everybody started to get like really beefed up PCs and playing PCs, or PC games. In my family at least, so I got like my mom started playing WoW, she wanted me to play really badly, and I was like, I'm not doing it. That was I was in sophomore in college.
Okay.
So.
And you went to college right down the road from here in Austin.
Texas State.
So then you went off to Texas State. In high school, though, I mean, was there much gaming? Was there a big gaming culture in high school?
I was into, I got into the Lord of the Rings card game for a hot minute, and was into cosplay. I don't even know what that is.
Oh, so cosplay started then?
Yeah, I started cosplaying when I was 14.
What was the first thing that you cosplayed?
So the very first thing I cosplayed, I actually shared this at a convention recently. So I have had three...
Can I try to guess? Let me try to guess.
Okay, yeah,
Try to guess based on what year it was. I'm going to guess... You like Lord of the Rings, so I'm just going to say it was an elf of some kind.
It was not.
Damn it.
So actually, I've lied to the people in the world a couple times, and I'll tell you why. So my real first costume was... Well, I'll start with what I said my first costume was. For a long time, I said my first costume was Chun-Li, because it was my very first finished actual costume.
Okay.
Was Chun-Li from Street Fighter. My grandmother...
Classic.
I don't know why I can't be at this level. My grandmother made the dress for me, and I made all the accessories. So it was like a cute little...
Like little bracelets and all that stuff?
Yeah. So it's like a little thing we did together, a little project. And then... this past year, I made Sailor Heavy Metal Papillon from Sailor Moon. Thank fuck I finally got that. And I revealed that actually when I was 15, I had tried to make a Sailor Heavy Metal Papillon costume and had failed miserably, and it was really embarrassing, so I'd never really credited as my first costume, when in fact it was.
Cosplay's come such a long way, though. I mean, it's like,
yeah.
I remember people just had, like, poster board Iron Man outfits,
Yep.
and that was legitimate.
And
now
like,
it's
hey,
like,
you made it.
Mechanized, light up helmets that can
Yeah.
open and reveal the guy's face. It's nuts.
It is nuts. So I made that costume again to be like, hey, look how far I've come. But I revealed recently at a convention that my real first costume was, my friend invited me to UchiCon 1, which is this itty bitty convention here in Austin.
Uh-huh.
It was a first year convention. And
how old were you?
I was 14.
Okay.
And she told me, like, sometimes people dress up at these things. She had a vampire huntress Mew. What is her name? Vampire. It's not Vampire Hunter D, but it's like vampire cutesy girl Mew. I don't know. Whatever. I'm gonna get slayed in the comments.
Not
for that.
Vampirella, though.
No, not Vampirella.
Okay.
It's like this really cute little. I've seen the anime that goes with it. This cute little Japanese girl. Anyway, so she had this costume, and I was like, shit, I don't want to be like the one idiot who's not dressed up. So I took this dress my mom had got me from Cambodia. It was like a black silk dress, and I put my hair up in knots, and I had a fan that I held in front of my face all day, and I was just this mysterious original character.
So you started off with original material. Wow, look at you.
It was so dumb. It was just like, this is what I had in my closet.
I'm the night mistress.
I am, hey. So there's
Madam Darkness.
I don't want to put this out there too much, but there is a photo of it online that
there's
lives.
not.
There
is.
is. There is.
Is it labeled as you?
No, and only I know where to find it.
Wow.
But it's, yeah.
I bet
it's
that'll
out there.
change very quickly.
Yeah, I'm sure. I believe in you, internets. You can find it.
14-year-old Meg, too. It's like, I hope it's okay to say this. I consider you to be somebody who, like, really blossomed even after college.
Yeah.
Because you were in band in college. Were you in band in high school?
Yeah, I was in band all through middle school, high school, and then my second and third years of college.
You're kicking ass, by the way.
Oh, thank you. We're on the
And what did you play in band?
I was a flute player.
I already guessed that. I should have let me guess that one.
You should have guessed it.
Yeah.
Personalities absolutely always coordinate with what you play.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that makes sense.
I've fallen for enough trumpet players and drummers to know.
You're telling me you didn't play the enormous bass drum that you wear over your shoulders in a harness?
No, I didn't.
Well, what a surprise. We can all picture that guy, by the way.
That exactly.
Exactly what that guy looks like.
Yeah, so I did it in high school. Well, and I really, honestly, like, I didn't have any, like, discernible boobs or butt, and god damn it, until I was a senior in high school. So, like, I was made fun of. Like, I wasn't cute in high school. And then in college even, like, people look at photos of me. You know, I will tell you, I just found the craziest Throwback Thursday photo ever from when I was finishing college. So I think I was senior in college. And it's a photo of me and Olivia Munn. And
really?
Yes. And
like, did you go wait in a line to see her or just ran into her?
No, I knew her then.
Oh, okay.
Very roughly.
How's you knew her from
Kevin. I knew her through Kevin, and so we went to an Oscars party together. Me, Olivia, and Eva.
Wait,
Murray.
I'm sorry. One more time. This is while you were in college?
Yeah, so I met Kevin the summer before I was a senior in college. I did my internship at G4 then.
Okay, I did not know that. I thought you finished college and then moved out to Los Angeles.
No, I lived at his house when I first moved out to LA when I was trying to find a job. So it was like my summer before my senior year was when I did my internship, and. Yeah, I have this photo of us three that I literally just found and was like, oh my god, I look like a completely different human being. Like, you would never believe it's me. And I was 23 in that photo. Like, I look completely different. So, and
it might make sense for us to try to add some photos or at least some links in the description, but was there a deliberate effort to change your style and to change your look?
Not really, honestly. It's funny because I feel like there's so many instances in my life in LA where people tried to change my look or tried to tell me I needed to change my look, or needed to, like, dye my hair or lose weight or do different things like that. And so much of it I was so angry about having had to deal with that I really pushed back really hard against that. Most of, like, being able to do my own makeup and stuff comes from cosplay. Oh, son of a bitch, I missed the key. And that's where I get that kind of like that start from. I think that's honestly changed my look more than anything. Has been like my cosplay. God damn.
Was there something though that you did? Like, was there a moment where you made a change, either a hairstyle or fitness, that was like, this is the moment where it's like that changed your identity? Did you have a different opinion of yourself?
I think, honestly, I was so much more when my hair was brown, which it was until I think I dyed it when I was 23-ish. So much more of me was, like, mousy looking and sort of, like, introverted.
I think that's a good description. You seem, I think, when I see the pictures, like, you seem like someone I would typically associate as being on the internet every day.
Yeah.
And playing WoW.
Yeah.
Which, exactly. Not disparaging anything, it's just, like, it's counter to the image that you have today.
Which, honestly, I think comes from cosplay.
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
I think, honestly, there's actually a moment in time I can identify in which I felt my looks changed a lot, and that was after Kevin and I broke up, actually. I had dyed my hair red fairly recently, but I went to Comic-Con that year and felt very alone and very sad, obviously, and had a makeup artist there who was like, let me teach you how to do what I'm doing to you here so you can do it at home, and like paid attention to those people and like how I was dressing and felt, I found that independence in being forced to be alone and figure it all out by myself, sort of.
Why didn't you get the thing there? Why didn't you get the...
What did I miss?
Why
why didn't I get the girl?
Yeah, the girl.
Because I want this Band-Aid down at the bottom. I've been
okay.
like ignoring all the Band-Aids, and it's a cheap way to play the game, really.
What did you study in school? Communications?
So I have a degree in history, and I also have a degree in mass communications.
So I asked for questions on Twitter before we did this, and one of the questions people had is, if you weren't a host and you didn't do cosplay, what would you be doing, do you think?
I would be a high school history teacher.
And you and I have talked about that too. You talked about like a post-career, because entertainment is one of those things.
Yep.
It's hard to get into, and arguably, I think, harder to maintain.
Very hard to maintain.
Very hard to maintain. And... it's okay. We all know you were going for the Band-Aids. That's all that matters. It's the thought that counts. When it comes to Band-Aids. Maybe you get a thought that counts achievement.
Thank you.
I like when you play my account because I can get achievements in Super Meat Boy for the first time ever in my whole goddamn life. But, it's one of those things where... what were we talking about just now?
But how hard it is to maintain a media career.
Yeah, you and I have had conversations about, like, post-entertainment career, and you said that, you could see yourself in an education career after an entertainment career.
Yeah. I also, I've been giving a lot of thought lately to being a librarian.
Really?
Yeah. I think that'd be fun. Son of a bitch.
Isn't that kind of like your look as sexy librarian? I mean, isn't that like...
Kind of. It's really because I'm someone who I love paperwork. I love filling out paperwork. And I love filing. And Gus and I are like soulmates in that regard. And so I think a librarian has all the best aspects of filing and paperwork. You get to file away books. You get to be around books all day. I love books.
I honestly miss the days when I could defragment my hard drive and like put all the sectors it would have a representation of all the data on the hard drive and it would put it all together, and it's like so satisfying to see that.
Yeah.
I just love the idea of some guy going into a library for the first time some point in the future, and you're the library behind the desk. He goes, "It's true."
Hey, big boy, you want to check out that Stephen King novel?
The tales were true. The librarians are all sexy. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
So you graduated, and then you had already done an internship out in LA. Then you returned to San Marcos for your senior year.
Right.
There's something else I want to go back to, too. You said something a couple minutes ago that I haven't heard, which is you called your first cosplay a costume.
Yes.
And do people still say costume in reference to a cosplay project?
Yes. So there's I don't understand all the ins and outs. I've been in the cosplay world for 15 years now.
Yeah.
And I still don't understand. Some people like cosplayer. Some people like costumer. Some people like cosplay for their actual outfit. Some people prefer costume. So it's very personal preference-y, and I never know where the line is.
Is there a thing that separates cosplay from costuming or masquerade? Just like normal... Like, you go to a costume party, they never were called cosplay parties.
Right. So, I mean, in my mind, the difference is it video game, fantasy, movie related?
Genre related?
To me it is,
okay.
But I think for a lot of people, cosplay references something that's almost not as serious as costuming. A lot of the people I know that want to be called costumers are very serious about their craft and feel like they aren't taken serious, like cosplay is not taking it seriously enough.
Okay.
Or the craftsmanship isn't taken seriously enough, I guess.
Which to somebody outside of that community would be like, oh, come on.
Right.
But, I mean, people who dedicate their lives to something take it very, very seriously.
Yes. And some of these people are like professional seamstresses and tailors and all of that. And prop makers, there's a lot of like movie prop makers who do cosplay now, and it's pretty cool. I'm just gonna leave that work zone fucking.
Well, I've always thought in my head the difference between cosplay and costuming is like, if somebody dresses as a nurse, that's a costume. If somebody dresses as Daryl Hannah from Kill Bill, that's a cosplay. Like that's
so
a character.
again, it's genre related for you,
right?
Or like
yeah.
you were saying, like a general like job versus like an actual character.
Like Ninja versus Ryu.
Got it.
You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Ryu's from Street Fighter if you're just joining us. If you're new to video games.
No big deal.
No big. What'd you play in Street Fighter? What was your character?
Chun-Li, always.
Always Chun-Li?
Always.
And
Cammy, sometimes I cheated on her with Cammy.
That happens.
Because I wanted to always be the girl. Like, I never understood... I always want to play a character that looks or seems like me. Like, I never understood guys who played girl characters. Because I was like, oh, come on, doesn't seem... Like, I imagine myself as the character. I always try and make my created character look like me.
Yep.
Yeah. I can't...
Dude, my kid, JD, he freaked me out when Fallout 4 came out and he was 13. He made himself at like 30 years old. And I was like, that actually looks like, that could work. That could be the case. It was pretty startling.
Yeah.
But I used to do the same things. I gotta go back and forth. I have some things where, like, my Saints Row character is female, and I don't know why. And I know
Saints
Gus
Row,
plays
though,
all females.
Yeah, Saints Row, though, is like, you go a little ham with those characters,
Yeah.
right? Like, they're meant to be silly, so...
She has a Russian accent, too.
I can understand that. I think you're talking about your librarian fetish now.
I am. That's it.
Hello, welcome.
In Saints Row, I'm Olga K. That's the way it breaks down. So then you went back to your senior year in San Marcos after internship, and then you moved to LA from there?
Yes.
Okay.
So I actually, when I was working at G4 as an intern, they were telling me at the end of the summer, like, hey, we're going to try and find an actual job for you. So I dropped out of my senior year of college and was like, great, I'm going to stay in LA. And then it turned out, like, oops, the funding for the job has gone. There's no job for you here. So I was like, it's okay, I'll find PA work. And then I literally spent 2 days looking for PA work, had like this freak out of how I'd never finish my degree if I left now, and packed up all of my stuff out of the apartment I had just leased and drove all the way back home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I came back, I finished my senior year, and then I went back out to LA. I looked for work for a couple weeks. I learned very quickly I could not be a housewife. I was drunk. Literally the first week, I think Kevin called me on like a Wednesday afternoon, and I was just like plastered. Like, I have nothing else to do. I'm just drunk now.
Just in a house while, you're off at this really cool job.
Yeah. So I got a job at DeviantArt, and I worked there. It was an amazing first job. And I got to do a little bit of hosting work there and found that was really my passion. And
dude, it's you're swinging so heavy at such a young age because your first job is at DeviantArt.
Yeah.
And essentially, the way you're describing it, one of your first year's boyfriends is a host on G4.
Yeah. Don't sleep with your heroes, kids.
Where you're an intern. Were you guys dating your entire senior year, like long distance?
Yes, we were on and off, but yes, mostly dating my entire senior year.
So if you at that point didn't have, I don't think, any level of notoriety.
No, none.
I mean, you might have been huge on marching band. But,
yeah, okay. Pretty big with the marching band.
But here you are dating somebody who's arguably a very famous person on television every single day. Yeah. He's the spokesperson essentially for the entire network.
Right.
And, I mean, what's that experience like?
It is such a bad idea for any form of self-esteem whatsoever.
This might be colored by, some hindsight, but yeah.
No, it was honestly, like, in that time, I was so insecure just because I was dating somebody who was surrounded by beautiful, tiny women constantly.
Tiny meaning thin, or just like
thin.
miniature? Like
yeah, they're all like actually Russian dolls at G4. Yeah, it was not so good for but it made me such a stronger person because I had to learn to deal with my own insecurities while dating somebody who wasn't gonna, I don't know how to say that without sounding like jerky, but wasn't going to indulge my insecurities just because they were my insecurities, which honestly made me a stronger person.
Sure. It comes with the territory too of somebody like that. It's like somebody's in that world is used to somebody who's right outside of that world, it can be a little frightening.
It is incredible. And honestly, it colored a lot of my dating experience after that. Was like, oh, I realized that this is a really strange world. And honestly, for a while, I was like, I'm not going to date anybody who does anything on the internet because I want to date a normal person and not have to deal with any of these weird issues. But then as I came up on SourceFed, it made it weirder for the people that I was trying to date at the time. Like, they also had to deal with the same, like, oh, you're here at parties with these people, and they must be so much more interesting than I am, and all of those things that you feel.
Like, these people you're talking about, like, what were their jobs that they did? Like,
I dated a kid for a while that worked at Riot, was an artist at Riot.
So you get a really cool entertainment job as well.
But completely, like, he was an artist, so, like, just completely, like, out of the spotlight, and, I dated another, well, then I broke my rule after that, or before that, actually, and dated an Olympic athlete. And so that was...
Haven't we all?
That was actually just the nicest dude I've ever met, and very understanding.
Yeah, it's like me and the Russian synchronized swimming team. It was a magical summer after they completed their events.
Yeah.
But so then you're in LA, you got your job at DeviantArt. What was your gig at DeviantArt? How did you get that?
At DeviantArt, I worked in marketing. I was the VP of Marketing's assistant. So I didn't have to get coffee or anything like that, but I did like pull stats for what our users were searching and how our users would use the website. I did a lot of internal marketing for communities. Yeah, I did a lot of analytics, and I also did like a lot of like, oh, what do our artists ask for the most? They want these features and they want that feature. So I did a lot of that. I decided I wanted to host. So I got, I made this video that DeviantArt didn't even really want about a project they were doing so that I could host it. And then after that, they kind of used me a little bit. I did a thing with Epic for the launch of Gears of War 3 with DeviantArt. And I just tried after that to make as many opportunities for myself hosting stuff as I could. But then at that time, actually Kevin had told me he had been interviewed by SourceFed. And he was like, hey, I know they're looking for a new host.
Wow, that'd have been a huge get.
You should definitely apply. And so I sent my reel in. I went to the scariest audition I've ever been on with 100 girls that looked exactly like me.
Wow.
And it was so surreal. I thought my car was getting towed the whole audition. Like, it was just really, really crazy. And I got it.
Cool. Was one audition you got it, or callbacks?
So there were no callbacks. I got it off one audition, but I was only part-time. And so I used to go into SourceFed at 6 and then film an episode. And then I would work on those reads until I had to go back to DeviantArt at 10.
Okay.
And then I would work till 7 at night at
Double
DeviantArt.
duty.
Yeah, and so it became like the more SourceFed wanted to use me, the more they needed me to be available all the time, and DeviantArt was like, look, you got to make a choice here, which I did, so I chose SourceFed.
Yeah, that makes sense. Hard to argue that wasn't the right move, right?
Right, like, it was what I wanted to be doing, and
right.
DeviantArt was very gracious with, like, this is definitely what you want to do, so go and do it. So
you know, it is, and we have conversations all the time, too, you know, you and me, Meg. It's just like there's just certain realities to entertainment where it's just like there's opportunities that come up and you have to take advantage of them, and it's just the way it is.
Yeah, it's not a personal thing. It's just how timely things happen to be or what is right at that time for you and for the company you work for.
You know, I had never met Phil DeFranco, who was the founder, fair to call him the founder of SourceFed? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was in my opinion, the only YouTube Originals channel that made it. I mean, there was like maybe like Geek and Sundry and things, but they were kind of like not in that original first crop. Like to me, SourceFed was the standout. Like it made it out of the gate.
It was crazy working at SourceFed because I came into working at SourceFed, not as an original member.
By the way, you should be very grateful that your audition at SourceFed was not playing this level of super.
I know, this is a boss fight, okay? It's a little harder. I'm not doing well. But
you're good. You got it. It's all about the conversation.
Thank you. So I came into SourceFed, not as one of the original 3. I think I was the 5th full-time host brought on. Steve was brought on a couple weeks before I was. And I also was not a YouTube person. Like, I didn't know any YouTubers except for Blair Fowler, actually.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah.
She was one of my co-competitors in The Amazing Race.
Yes. She taught me how to curl my hair, and she won her way into my heart that way.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She's amazing.
And I had, it's very common in our world in online video. none of us knew who the other people were. I mean, everybody knew Tyler Oakley because he's everywhere.
Right.
But, I mean, nobody knew who anybody else was.
Yeah.
And I certainly never met Tyler before that.
Oh, really?
No, but I was going to say that my first experience with Phil, you know, the realities of entertainment, I knew of Phil DeFranco, but the first time I ever spoke to him, I'd never met him, was to call him and say, look, you know, Meg Turney's moving to Austin. There's not very often that someone of Meg's caliber in this industry moves to Austin, so I just want to let you know I'm going to be offering her a job for her to come work here. And you were at the time were still working at SourceFed, and it's like just one of those courtesy calls, and
right.
it's just a reality of it. And he was very gracious about it, and I think appreciated the phone call. And I think, you know, that in an odd way that started off our relationship, where, you know, I have a lot of respect for Phil and everything he's done over there.
And actually, at the time when all that happened, I had already basically quit SourceFed with Phil. Phil and I had many conversations about it. And I had already quit SourceFed and had zero plan. It was like the most leap of faith thing I've ever done in my life. And was lucky enough to get an offer from you guys. But when, you know, I quit, I literally had no plan. I think a lot of people, because the timing worked out so well, a lot of people think I had this like, I'm going to work at Rooster Teeth. Yeah. But I really had no idea.
No, and it's like, it's one of those things, you don't really talk about those things until... It's like a little bit of a dance where it's like, well, this person's not available, maybe we'll talk to them when they're available, but then like nobody wants to, like, you took a big risk and you were out on your own, you know? Yeah. We should probably talk about that, like how we met. So SourceFed just exploded.
Yeah.
It was a huge success. And
working there was crazy. Just like I said, like I had no concept of YouTube, but it was like we were on this rocket ship just going absolutely nuts. We won Series of the Year that year at the Streamies, which I'm sure we'll talk about because it's how we met.
Yeah.
But I just felt like there was no concept of how crazy this ride is and how other channels grow and don't grow the way that SourceFed did.
Congratulations, by the way. I just read that. Yeah, no, that's rare that something like that happens.
It was very strange.
But so for perspective for me, like how we met. So I had this was right after I was divorced, and I'm not really sure why it was like this in my head. Maybe it was because it was like a fresh start. But I actually did most of my dating out in LA. Like I would go out to LA on a regular basis. So I was meeting people and groups of people. I never really met you, but we were always like running in the same circles, kind of a thing, and knew of each other. And then somewhere in between there, I started dating Ashley, and she came with me to the Streamy Awards where Red vs. Blue and SourceFed were both nominated for Series of the Year.
Yes.
And I think we've told the story before. We told it on the Binaural podcast. There's a YouTuber
who shall not be named, or maybe who will be. Who knows?
Who knows? And I saw him, and he was like singing in your ear, and I felt like your body language was such that you would like him to not be singing in your ear.
It was he knew everyone else at SourceFed. I think it was one of the first times I'd met him.
He knows everybody.
Yeah. Right, he knows everybody. And he was singing in my ear. He was like, hey man, how's it going? Oh my god, it's so good to see you, like he does. And then was like, hey, let me sing you a song in your ear right now. And
which I should point out, he also does to me.
Oh, like, does he do that to you?
He does it to everybody.
Oh, okay.
He's
I'm not special.
Yeah. Well, no, you're special. Especially that evening, you were special. And so I remember you were wearing a R2-D2 black milk dress.
Yes.
And Ashley, we had, I think, been dating. I don't even know at this point. We were dating a few months at least. And she was definitely back in the U.S. And she's a huge fan of black milk, which is an Australian company, and that's where she learned about black milk. And so I don't know why, I felt like I went over and said hello to
yeah.
And then you were there, and you're like, oh, hey, what's going on? I was like, very nice to meet you. And we talked about this, and you showed me your tattoo of the pixelated heart and everything.
Yes.
And so it was like, that was the first time we met. I don't know, like, it's one of those things that's like, I know that was definitely when you and I met.
Yeah.
But I guess we started following each other on Twitter and started talking at that point in time.
Yeah. I don't remember what. It's so funny too.
You and Ashley instantly hit it off.
Can I tell you that Ashley had brown hair then?
Yeah, she did.
And when I saw her again after Gavin and I were dating, and we came to hang out with you guys, I was like, oh, it's new girlfriend. Okay, hello, nice to meet you. And then later on, she said something about like, oh yeah, it was the photo wall.
Yeah.
And I saw the photo of her at the Streamies, and I was like, oh, he has a picture of the ex-girlfriend. Oh, it's her! Like, I completely introduced myself to Ashley as if she was a completely different person. She looks so different with dark hair, so I made such an ass of myself when I met Ashley for the first time.
You know, there's a lot of guys that listen to our content, so I'll give some inside information, and you can verify this. the way you described that to me as well was you met Ashley. She had brown hair at that time. The next time you met her, she had blonde hair. And I remember you told me, it's like, wow, this guy gets some hot chicks.
Yeah, exactly. I was
That
like,
is
damn,
actually
girl. And it's the same hot chick.
Believe it, same hot chick. But it's good. We just put her in different outfits, so
Yeah.
it makes me feel better. No, but that's a real thing where girls are attracted to guys that attractive girls are involved with. Like, that's a weird endorsement of something.
Yeah, you feel
girls
like...
notice it, I should say.
I guess if you're, like, not... if you're not overtly creepy, like, you're like, oh, obviously she's just putting up with this creep for what, money or whatever. If you're not overtly creepy, it's like, this guy must be cool because he got a hot chick. Like, it's like a weird endorsement.
I know women that it's like, why did you date this guy? It's like, oh, his last girlfriend was, like, super hot.
Oh.
Like, literally, they were being honest. You know, it's an honest moment. So here's the secret to dating. Date a super, super, super hot chick.
Yeah.
And then you're good for the rest of your life.
And then you're good. All of them will date you after that.
It's like the George Costanza thing. So then we were in contact and we were talking on a regular basis, and we were in a situation where we were auditioning a new host for Immersion.
Yes.
And I contacted you and said, I think, this wouldn't interfere with your job at SourceFed.
Right.
I'd like for you to read for this. There was about 5 different people that we had, in like essentially the finals for that. And then you read for us, like, this is perfect. I mean, it was me and Brandon.
Yeah, you and Brandon on the Skype call. And I wrote this fantastic script. I didn't save, by the way, which I was, like, sad after the call ended. I was like, oh, shit, I should have saved that script because it was funny. About boobies. I wrote a whole script about boobs. And so it was so fun to read this script about boobs that I had written. And I was so excited because a lot of the work outside of SourceFed, like, we didn't get to do a lot of outside work. So it was, like, really cool to, like, read for something that wasn't a news story that I had read. Like, if I have to read another news story about a mass shooting, like, I'm just going to shoot myself. Because we did so many of those at SourceFed. It was awful.
Yeah.
So it was really fun to talk about boobs for a while.
So we were, but Immersion was one of these things where it's like we always have to wait until we have something done, and there was a possibility of doing an Immersion TV pilot at one point, which we did shoot for as well. But then it worked out in such a way that when we were ready to shoot Immersion, then you weren't available.
Right, I was shooting Heroes of Cosplay. It was one weekend. We were sitting at Odd Duck in Austin, and you were like, hey, you still want to do that Immersion thing that you tried out for? And I was like, yeah, when is it? And you said the date, and I was like, that is the one weekend I'm shooting the one episode of Heroes of Cosplay that I'm on. That
sucks. And then the next time I saw you, we were at VidCon.
Yeah.
And I think...
that was, the Immersion thing was well after VidCon because I was dating Gavin then, but
that, when you came back and we were actually going to shoot it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay,
but
so
the talking, the talking for the Immersion thing was how I got introduced to Gavin, because you called me and told me about some stuff you guys had for Immersion. I said, that sounds hilarious, let's do it. And you sent me a follow-up email that was like, here's what I was talking about on the phone. And it was the episode of Gavin and Michael throwing up milk in a car. And I was like, oh, accent, hello. I was on the prowl. And I tweeted him, because that's how you get the fellas when you're in my...
You just tweet away.
My life. And I tweeted him and he didn't respond.
Typical Gavin.
And then I tweeted him, I guess, again, and I didn't see his response until we were already dating. But we saw each other, you and I saw each other at VidCon. You sent me a Twitter direct message that you were going to be at a party I was going to be at.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, let's meet up and say hello. And you can bring me a Gavin as like
Bring him to me.
Yeah, bring me. And you can bring me one Gavin free as like a welcome to VidCon present or something.
Okay, so now we're going to get in some very competitive territory here. Because there's a lot of people that claim...
so weird.
A lot of people that claim that they introduced you to Gavin. Or they're, like, I don't want to say responsible, but they were a catalyst for you and Gavin getting together.
There are only 2 people who can claim that moniker. And you introduced us, and Monty is the reason we are together.
Really? Because he walked around a convention with you and
said...
Monty
and I saw each other at... So Monty and I knew each other actually, Bernie, before you and I had one phone call. And then Monty and I actually became friends shortly after that phone call for a completely separate project that was Ruby related.
Oh, okay.
And he knew that I liked Gavin. We went to PAX Prime, and Gavin and I don't think anybody knows this actually. So I had been chatting up Gavin after VidCon, and I said, are you going to be at PAX Prime? And he was like, no. I might be. So I went into my producer's office at SourceFed and begged him to send me to PAX Prime. I like came up with
conventions
all these,
are a magical place.
Yes, I came up with all these proposals for like all the videos I would do at PAX Prime if they sent me, and then I messaged Gavin once I got the approval to go to PAX Prime. I was like, I'm going to PAX Prime. And he was like, all right, cool, I'll go to PAX Prime too. Then I'm waiting for this jackass to send me a message. I'm in Seattle, only here to meet his ass. Nothing. We get to Sunday. No messages, no nothing.
Typical.
We get to Sunday. I see Monty. I went actually up to talk to the Mega 64 guys and saw Monty at the Rooster Teeth booth. And so I was like, hey, Monty, what's going on? And we went and walked off and talked for a while about his girl troubles. And I told him about Gavin. He was like, no, he definitely likes you. You have to make the first move. Like, he's never going to make it. And I was like, I don't think I can do that.
Oh, so close.
So close. And so Monty was like, well, just walk me back to the Rooster Teeth booth. And I was stupid, and I went with him. And then Gavin was there eating a hamburger, and Monty said, Gavin, why don't you take Meg on a walk like I'm a dog? And Gavin had literally just taken the first bite, and he threw the whole hamburger away in the trash. Because I said, no, Monty, he's eating. Because I was very embarrassed. And Gavin was like, I'm done, and threw the whole hamburger away.
Wow, what a commitment.
And then off we went.
Oh, that's awesome.
And Gavin has a photo from that weekend.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Took a little selfie with you guys?
Yeah, I took a selfie.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's our first selfie together.
Now, there's something I want to talk about here, but relevant to the thing. I made a terrible mistake when I introduced Gavin to you, which came back to haunt me. Was when I said, hey, I said to Gavin, Meg texted me and said, bring me Gavin.
Right.
It's like this, it was
cheeky.
Cheeky, aggressive comment.
But it was cheeky, but
and
aggressive.
I said, hey, you should come and meet this girl, Meg. She's gorgeous. She's really cool. And I said, and he goes, really? I said, yeah. I said, I don't, I'd be careful because I don't. And I was like, I made a statement that like I don't know if she'll be into you for a long period of time, basically.
Right. You called me a slut and a skank. And
I did not do that.
Absolutely said I was fucking everybody else.
That's
fine.
That's not what I said.
It's fully what you said, and it came back to haunt you. The best part of it is...
Oh, God.
The best part of that is that Gavin told me, when I went to meet you, Bernie said...
What a dick.
Bernie said, hold on, the best part was, Bernie said you were dating Bobbick. And I said...
They were.
Not at the time, no. I dated Bobbick much, much before
Bobbick is the Mars rover guy,
yeah.
the Mohawk
guy.
He listen.
Sweetest dude, very sweet dude.
Heartthrob,
absolutely.
Like
and a very
every
sweet man.
Science geeky person in the world was loving him, me included.
Yes, and so Gavin told me, Bernie said that he thought you were dating Bobbick, so I shouldn't be too serious about you. And I was like, oh, that is so rude. I was not dating Bobbick. But then when I told Bernie, I said, oh, Bernie, Gavin told me the most interesting thing about what you said to him when we went to meet each other at VidCon. He's like, what, that I thought that you dated a lot of guys and that you might not be into them for a long time? I'm like, wow, you made it sound so much worse than Gavin made it sound.
No.
You, sold yourself out so hard.
All I know is, listen, you know Gavin now. He's a very gentle person.
Sure.
He has to be protected.
Yes.
So I didn't want young Gavin to get his feelings hurt. That's all.
Yeah, well.
I wanted him to be careful. So I've had to apologize for that a fucking million times over the years.
I get it. Hey, watch out for this skankoid here. She's fucking everybody.
Well, thank God for Monty.
Yes.
Monty
putting me up like a dog. Walk the Meg.
All these things that led to
and
this wonderful relationship.
And then it's so weird that so many people, take credit, because there's really only two people.
No, really, it's like I have to suffer through dinner conversations when I go to LA. It's like, oh, Gavin and Meg, yeah, I introduced them. I remember. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Excuse me.
Yeah, how dare you?
Excuse me, I called her a slut way before you were introducing anybody.
Stop. So, we've talked about some of the people that you dated, but one of the things I have to point out here is that you are a person who publicly identifies as being bisexual.
Yeah.
But I've always wondered this. How do you identify as bisexual? In the entire time I've known you, I have never known you to date a woman.
Right.
Have you ever had a female?
I have
partner?
yes, I've had sex with some girls in my lifetime. The reason you don't know...
Let me turn up the mic, hold on.
Right, hold on, did anybody get to that? Hi, Mom. No, I actually have not ever had a serious, dating girlfriend.
Uh-huh.
I've only had sexual experiences with girls.
At college, early age, or once you were in LA?
I
mean, don't want to say.
No, I mean, since I've had sexual experiences with boys, before that. I mean, I graduated high school a virgin. So I'd had sexual experiences with girls
the club.
before that. Hello. So not a virgin with the ladies. And ever since then as well.
Really?
Yeah. When I was in LA, when I was in college, all that.
Something you knew from a young age?
Absolutely. I knew when I discovered boys, I discovered girls, which was the best time. Can I just tell you, as a girl, being bisexual is the best thing ever, because girls are like, oh my God, we should practice kissing. That's a thing girls really do. And I was like, jackpot.
Stop it.
For real. I was that girl who was like, guys, I'm like the best kisser. You should definitely kiss
You're
me.
like living every, like, the sexy librarian, the pillow fight kissing. It's like, you're like every, like, fairy tale stereotype.
I'm like the biggest creep, but as a girl, you get away with it. We were talking about that today, actually, on a shoot, about how I was in a sauna recently and a lady was topless, and I was like, best day ever. But nobody suspects you when you're a girl, and they're just like, yeah, whatever. Girls' locker room, I'll be topless, and you're like,
getting a little ogling going?
Yeah, get a little jackpot going. It's
Jackpot.
I'm full on a creep, but I try not to be creepy about it.
But the comment, I fully recognize too, the comment that I just made of, like, you identify as being bisexual, but I've never known you to date a girl. I was curious if there's somebody I didn't know about, but is that kind of a thing that's like, is even that statement a little offensive to you, that like,
yes.
Do I feel like you've never dated it, so you don't qualify or something
right,
like that?
So I actually did a video on my personal channel once about that, like, you would never ask a girl if she identifies as straight, like, yeah, but, like, have you ever sucked a dick, though? Like, nobody would ask that question,
sure.
But girls who are bisexual get asked that question a lot. Like,
right.
Sure, but, I mean, have you actually had sex with a girl? Like, that's just something, it's just part of the nature of the beast. I think a lot of bisexual girls, and even from other women, lesbians have a slang term for bisexuals, which is devil pussy, because they're considered, like, they're gonna love you and leave you. They're gonna leave you for a man and break your heart, like your poor little lesbian heart will be broken.
I think that's always a tough thing when people leave someone for, you know, either someone of the same sex, or if you're in a same-sex relationship, someone of the opposite sex. It's like, there's not much you can do to compete with that,
no,
right?
There's nothing you can do. But I just think that bisexual women in particular, there's that whole stigma of, oh, it's for attention. So people feel justified in asking, yeah, but have you actually dated a girl? Because they think, oh, I'm trying to suss out whether or not this is for attention.
Well, and you're like, I mean, you're in a couple of different cultures that hit that hard in the intersection. Yes. You're a video game girl.
Right.
There's always the claim that...
So many ways I could be whoring myself for attention.
Right. It's like then you're also in cosplay, and you also do boudoir photos. Is that the right way to say that?
Yeah.
And posters and things. So it's like, I mean, is that something you have to deal with on a regular basis?
Yeah, I got over being worried if people thought I was doing things for attention, and had to get over it very quickly. Just because it was something I struggled with for a long time. Comments, gosh, when I first started at SourceFed, like, I was not only coming into hosting for the first time professionally, but YouTube comments as part of my job. And it made so many things incredibly difficult for me because I was so worried. I still read all the comments, and still to this day I read a lot of comments, and I appreciate working at a place like Rooster Teeth with someone like Ashley who sees the value in reading comments. And so it was really hard. I got over that really quickly, and I still face that a lot, but people thinking I do things for attention. But I mean, you get over, like, you put in perspective who those people really are to you. They don't know you at all. Yeah. And also, you laugh all the way to the bank. You know what I mean? Like, you can tell me I'm seeking attention, but, like, I've made a career out of what I do, and I'm happy. So
yeah, it's weird because you would never say to Leonardo DiCaprio, it's like, he took this role, it's like, well, he's looking for attention. It's like, well, he's a famous actor.
Right.
It's like, you know,
that's
it's like
what they do.
That comes with the job. It's like, oh, look at this actor on stage in front of a bunch of people. He wants attention.
Poor. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, that's why I let the fake gamer girl play the game today, because I would just embarrass myself.
Talking a little shit when I was battling Chad, but I mean, it's fine.
No, you're fine. You're good. Listen, we all have setbacks in life. We'd still be on the third level if I was playing this game. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about your modeling career for a second too, because we mentioned that was one of the cultures which you kind of end up in the crosshairs over sometimes, but it's also a big part of your identity and a huge part of your career.
Right.
How did that start? Because the photo that I associate as being, and I'd like to hear what you think is like your iconic image, but the one I would associate is the hair poster.
Yep. The bra poster that was at SourceFed. Yes, is absolutely. So we talked a lot about, like, people that I've dated, but it's because they shape a lot of my experiences. And when I dated Kevin, one of the things that he was very adamant about was that I would never do any sort of boudoir modeling, because you are so much smarter than that. You're selling yourself short. Like, you could do so much more than that.
How does that come up? Did you mention it and he was against it, or did he just
I think it's like a lot of his own securities, and then, you know, like, he had a co-host who Olivia did Playboy. She wasn't naked in Playboy, but she did do Playboy. And so, like, I think those conversations just came up from that kind of stuff. Like, it's very prevalent in that community. And so it's something that's talked about a lot. But, so he was very adamant. So when we broke up, it was like, this is my, like, I'm coming up. Like, I was like, you know what? Fuck anybody else policing my body. Like, it's my damn body. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want with it. Mm-hmm. And so my friend Keith at the time, who actually shot the iconic photo you're talking about, he had never shot a boudoir model before, but wanted to get into boudoir photography. So I said, look, I will be your model. I get I own all the rights to the images. I get final say on where any of them go. Like,
it's a big level of trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so we did the shoot, and that's where that actual that poster image came from, was from our first shoot together.
So that was one of the first things.
That was the very first shoot I ever did.
It's a hell of a way to start. Yeah.
And so.
And it's weird you still call it a SourceFed image. I consider that. I don't know why I associate that with the chive.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah, it was my first poster was SourceFed.
Okay.
So that's why I call it a SourceFed image.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Chive probably just reposted it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, so I did that and had fun. It was really, really fun, and was like, wow, I want to do this more often. And so I got into it, actually, through Keith. Shit.
You got it.
I'm going to have to slide down this wall. There we go.
That seems like unnecessarily difficult. And did that change anything? Like, was there like all of a sudden like a rise in opportunities? Because I mean that image I think went everywhere.
Yeah, it was interesting. It changed a lot of things for a lot of different reasons. So there was a lot of opportunity, but there was also a lot more hatred I hadn't had to deal with from fans and from contemporaries as well. A lot of people who felt like, oh, she's sold out, or oh, like, that's not respectable. Like, I don't respect you anymore.
May I ask, was that primarily men passing those judgments or women? Women.
A lot of women. I mean, there's definitely men. I get a mix of hatred from both sides. But the people who were actually in my life, who I knew, who felt like they had the right to say those things, were women.
Interesting.
Yes.
Why do you suppose that is?
No, honestly, it becomes a thing where once those people get the opportunity to do it themselves, and they do, there's always a different reason why they did it, and it wasn't okay that you did it.
Oh, right.
So, it's like that kind of thing where...
Nice moves.
Oh my god, you've got to be killing me. Woo! So, yeah. I mean, it taught me a lot about standing my ground on what I felt like was best for my career.
Is that criticism hard to hear from a woman? Harder than to hear it from a man?
I think it's more frustrating to hear from a woman because you think, like, we're sisters in arms, right? Like, if there's anybody who should be... Like, men already hate on us enough. Why do I have to deal with it from you? There's definitely that aspect to it, but... I mean, at the same time, you get, like, the... All right, fine. Like, you'll do it, too, and then you'll realize that it's actually not that bad.
So how do you deal with that criticism? There was a friend of mine once said that she's female on the internet, and she said sometimes the good comments are worse than the bad comments.
Oh, interesting.
And how do you deal with that kind of stuff?
I don't know that I've ever had a good comment that I felt was... Well, because I get comments that are like, I'm going to come find you. So my bad comments are pretty bad.
Well, like, good can even be, like, the person writing it thinks it's positive, but it's also about having sex with you.
Yeah. Okay, so there's that, like... I want to do X, Y, and Z to you. Why aren't you flattered that I'm telling you about how I want to do X, Y, and Z to you?
I'm giving you my attention.
Right. And that's the thing. Is, like, I think a lot of people think you do a lot of what I do, the modeling I do. Some of it, a lot of it is for my audience, absolutely. But there's nothing I do that I don't want to do for myself as well. Mm-hmm. Like, there's never some time that I'm taking a photo thinking, like, oh, I just don't want to be doing this right now. Because then I just don't do it. So a lot of times people... think they're being positive by being like, they get really upset when they say things and I disagree with them. Like, if you were my girlfriend, I wouldn't let you do this. Well, okay, but you're not the police of my body, so it doesn't matter if you were my boyfriend or not. Like, you're not going to tell me what I'm going to do. Well, I'm just saying, like, my opinion. Like, those are the things that people get really uppity about because they feel like you're questioning them as a person. Right.
And there's another thing, too, that I see, I've identified where people think that if someone does an underwear photo, or if some cosplayer takes a character and makes a sexy version of the character, that they then have the right to make sexual comments like that. It's not fair that they're not allowed to do that. Can you talk about that?
You're in your underwear. You're the one who's in your underwear.
Right.
Right. So, like, I'm not, again, like, I got a lot of flack for this, actually, talking about how just because I'm in my underwear doesn't mean I want to hear all of the disgusting things you think that you get to do to me or would want to do to me. I think a lot of people don't understand that. It's a foreign concept for a lot of commenters, that you don't really care what sexual things they'd want to do to you. Mm-hmm. It's not really, like, why you do what you do. I think they think it's like it's an attention thing. They're giving you any kind of attention, so you should just be happy.
Nice. Look at that.
Just barely. I can't.
That nice was for you finishing the level, not for the attitude.
Nice.
Good job, losers.
I'll go your boobs. Nice. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, you ride this fine line of people telling you that they want to do all these disgusting things to you, you saying, no, I don't want that kind of attention, and then they say, well, you're just lucky I'm paying attention to you at all.
Sure, yeah.
And they're just because someone posts photos on the internet in their underwear doesn't mean that they're not a valid person, that they don't have valid opinions, that they can't have serious opinions about things in the world, and that they shouldn't be taken seriously. It just means they look good in underwear.
They might like the way their tush looks in underwear.
Yeah.
And that's enough.
Yeah. And a lot of that is like, the thing is, like, my underwear modeling, and actually fake porn of me as well, have hindered some parts of my career as well. So when everyone's like, oh, she's
fake
just
porn.
doing this. Yes.
Oh, wow.
So fake porn actually cost me a hosting job when I first started.
What?
I hadn't even done that bra photo yet.
Yeah.
And I auditioned for, I don't know, some family something. And they were like, we loved you, but we did a Google search and we just can't have that for the brand. And it was fake porn of me that I hadn't, and when I spoke up about it, like, guys, I understand, like, why doppelbangers exist. But do realize there are consequences for some of the people that you're doppelbangering. They were like, well,
doppelbangers, where people will take a nude model and then put a Photoshop basically head, make it look like someone who's never posed nude, and make a nude photo of them.
Right. Or they'll find, like, a porn star that looks like them or whatever.
Oh, right. That's actually the doppelbanger thing, right?
Identify them as the person that they're looking for the doppelbanger for. Yeah, I actually came out and was like, guys, just so you know, like, this has real-world consequences, and was told, like, you decided to pose in your underwear, so you should just deal with it. And I was like, yeah, actually, before I posed in my underwear, though, there was already fake porn of me.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's like, the whole fakes culture to me is very strange.
It is really, really strange. It's almost strange as like the bubble porn stuff where they hide things and they make people who have, like, are in very innocent photos look like they're not.
So, like, my not so innocent photos look really not so innocent when they're bubbled.
Right. I can only imagine.
Yeah,
so the first time you did a shoot and you were in underwear, was it
Yeah.
hard? Was it a scary moment?
It wasn't scary. I think Keith is an amazing photographer. He runs a photography thing called It's Only a Body. So he's a friend of mine, and so it was chill because it was just a friend of mine. I think it was scary in that I was worried I didn't look like my best, or oh gosh, why did I decide to have that the other day? I think those kinds of insecurities come into play.
Yeah.
The scariest shoot for me was my first Me and My Place shoot. Because the premise of Me and My Place is no makeup, no hair team, no Photoshop.
Wow.
So these are like, and what a lot of people don't realize, also no photo approval. So the first time I see any of those photos for any of my Me and My Place shoots is when they go live to the public. There is no process by which I say, great, I just don't like number 14 or whatever.
Sure.
So you normally get that with every sort of shoot like that you get. You get a lot of control. But the way Michael runs that is just like, this is supposed to be like how it is, like how you are, how you really are. Embrace it. Embrace your stretch marks, your cellulite, whatever. And
wait, and I should actually, full disclosure, that is the way I do game time. Is I tell people when we sit down, I say, we'll talk about whatever. If there's anything you don't want included, we'll cut it out. And it's just so that people will be more comfortable.
Right.
You know? That's why you do those things.
Yeah. And so I was terrified. Okay, like, I've never told the story of my first Me and My Place shoot, but I had hair and makeup. Obviously, everyone does. I showed my makeup artist, like, the photos of Me and My Place, and I was like, are these girls wearing makeup? And any of the girls who were, like, had any sort of following, because he also does a lot of amateur photography as well, they all had hair and makeup teams. Who were probably not there. So my girls came really early before he got there. And then they did hair and makeup on me that was like fairly minimal, and then we also used like spray on my legs, so like legs in a can, if anybody's familiar with that.
What is that?
It's like almost like an instant spray tan. It's like makeup for your legs.
Oh, okay.
And you can actually see in the photos, he came as we were doing the legs in a can, so we didn't get to blend the top properly. So there's some photos where like, wow, your legs are really tan and your stomach is not. That is not by design. That is because we were like, oh shit, and like put the legs in the can under the sink, and the girls like snuck out. Like I was so afraid he was gonna be like mad that I was
disqualified.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was such a big deal. Like the reason I did the shoot with Keith and had like I tweeted out one of the photos, and someone said, this reminds me of At Me in My Place, and they tagged Me in My Place, and I wanted to do Me in My Place. Sarah Underwood was an acquaintance of mine at the time, and she had been telling me about her experiences with Me in My Place, and her photos are gorgeous. So I was like, I want to do it. So I did that photo shoot with Keith as like kind of a stepping stone for working with Me in My Place. So I was really nervous about working with him, but it turned out I think the photos are amazing. Gavin the other night was looking at my Princess Leia photos, which I have no qualms about saying things are photoshopped. Like Photoshop's awesome. And he was like, man, you look great.
You feel obligated to let people know that they're photoshopped?
No, I don't feel obligated. I guess I get annoyed when people try and put like some emphasis on being natural, but they have, Botox done or whatever. Like if they make that like their brand that like, oh, I'm all natural, and then they're not, like that annoys me. I try really hard to be, and I think it's part of the gamer culture. I try really hard to be as authentic as possible because I'm just conditioned to think if I'm not 100% accurate with everything I say, I'm going to get slammed for it.
No, without question. I mean, the gamer audience, more than any other audience, is like can sniff out something that's not genuine in about 2 seconds.
So, like, part of that for me is like being completely upfront with, like, when Me in My Place images, none of them are photoshopped. It's like, these are not photoshopped. When I do other photos, like, I don't go out of my way to say, like, love the photoshopping on these, but, if someone asks, I'm never going to lie about it. And I don't feel like there's any need to. I think some girls feel like, no, I really look like that. I don't really look like that. Like, my Princess Leia photos, man, they did some great jobs on my legs, because you can't tell I have any cellulite, but I really do.
And who are those for?
Those, I actually did a pilot for a show called Megabit. Once upon a time, that was supposed to be Felicia Day actually ended up coming out with a show, her Flog, I think is what it was called.
Oh yeah.
It was the exact same premise. It was like a month before that show came out.
That's
always
so hard online
with that premise, which was like, Meg goes out and tries things, but like it's much harder when you're not Felicia Day to make that. Yeah. Hey, Felicia Day's doing it. Yeah, but you don't know me, but I'm also doing it. So, yeah, but that was what I did Princess Leia for.
Do you ever think, is there like any pressure to pose nude at any point, or is that something you ever consider doing?
I would love to pose topless. Actually, when Playboy approached me, I was like, great, this is my opportunity. I really want to do it. I think it'll be great. And they were like, oh, we're not doing any nudity in these shoots. It was for...
That might be the first time that conversation has ever happened.
It was for like their hottest digital influencers campaign. And so I was like, oh, damn.
I can feel people unsubscribing to Playboy right now. It's like they literally said, they said,
like,
nah, we're good.
Nah. So I didn't do it. So
well, they've also moved away completely from nudity.
Right. Although their models are still nude in some photos, it's just more cheesecake, I guess, is really like what it is.
Yeah.
You just don't really see all the bits and tackle.
I mean, for Playboy, I mean, that's changed so much. I mean, everybody's like one click away from like every possible fantasy they could ever have.
That's the thing is like, I completely understand why Playboy made the change they did, as disappointing it is for some people, because they feel like they can't compete with porn, so why even try anymore?
No, I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
I think it's going to take a while for that brand, though, to
like
be something that people still just like pick up off the shelf and take on an airplane or something, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I do think I would love to pose nude sometime. Actually, you and I talked about it, Bernie, where you were like, hey, you should clock sticking on that kid. You should probably do that.
I listen. So, good Lord. It seems like every conversation I have with you, it's a, hey, slutty, put down the potato chips and take some nude photos. You're not getting any younger. You're not a spring chicken.
No, you should probably make sure they all have underwires, if you know what I mean.
No, I've always felt like you and I can have very direct conversations.
I'm a very direct. I value directness over so many other things in this world. Like, there's no love lost when someone just tells me something straight up. I respect someone more for that.
Yeah.
Because when I'm direct with someone, it's because I respect that they can take it.
Totally agree. It's like especially when you're dealing with like career issues and stuff, it's like, well, let's talk through this and let's see. It's like, it's not...
I'm just so over so much of my career, and so much of everyone's career is spent with like half-truths and sentences that you don't really know what is the person actually trying to say here.
Exactly.
I'd rather just get to the point and get it done.
Just a waste of everybody's time.
Yep.
There's so many better things to be doing.
So you told me just to get my boob pics out of the way.
No, I was just curious. Like, if, I was never at a point in my 20s where I was in miraculous shape. But if I was, I probably would have thought, oh man, I wish I had gotten some, like, photos of myself.
I read a quote where Jennifer Love Hewitt said she wished she had done her, when she got into her 30s, she had wished that she had done her nude photos in her 20s.
Yeah,
and
right.
I fully understand that.
I think that's where that came from, is I've heard that common lament among people.
Yeah.
It's like, I wish when I was like, in my prime, I would have taken some nude photos.
Yeah.
I just kept them for myself.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Look at Grandma's boobs, because they looked so good. I have always said I wanted to do that. So I think this year is the year. I just have to get my ass in gear.
Oh, so you think you're on a trajectory for that?
Yeah, definitely. And I know Gav really wants to do it, obviously.
You mean he wants to photograph you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Gav
cool.
is always, and he's a great photographer to work with. We have, a really similar aesthetic, and that Gav is so technical.
Gavin might have taken more pictures than any person on the planet, because he takes 10,000 a second when he does his recordings.
And he's so picky and, so... It's funny, working together, because it's a completely different environment than the two of us are ever used to working with for one another. So it's, a completely different vibe, photographer, subject. And it's really fun. It's really cool to see him in that element.
Well, if they turn out well, let me know, because I'd like Gavin to photograph me
naked. Yeah,
next.
I bet he would love to do that.
After my Amazing Race Gold bikini days, I was like, hey, let's do this.
Hey everyone, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Forget Princess Leia. This is the gold bikini you
Oh
want.
my god, when they busted that thing out, I was like, holy shit. And it's like, you know what? It's like, honestly, I don't know if you've always been comfortable with your body, but when I was a lot heavier,
not at all.
I was not really comfortable with my body, and
Right.
it's like, just like when they hand me this thing, I'm like, oh shit, I'm about to be on fucking network television in a bathing suit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, and it's just like, all right, you know what, this is gonna happen. Let's go with it. Let's have fun. You know?
Yeah, I'm with somebody who, like I said, didn't really have boobs or a butt, and so was always like the skinniest skinny mini. Who was like, guys, I'd eat like a full pizza. Like, people thought I had bulimia issues because I was so skinny, but was like always eating. And then it went away, and it was the saddest thing ever. But no, I definitely got cellulite really quickly. I gained weight in certain places. I noticed that. So in doing boudoir photography, people feel the need to be like, wow, great cellulite, clumpy thighs. People feel no shame, calling out what they think is not perfect. And
That's
so there's
scary.
a lot. Yeah, it's very scary, but it's also really riveting in a way. Come at me. You can't break me. I'm so ready for all your bullshit and so over it that you can't touch me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's a great attitude.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, I mean, I think I developed a lot of my sense of humor and my personality because I was a super late bloomer. I was a year younger than everybody. And then I was a late bloomer on top of it. So I was 4'10" my first year in high school. I actually dated more girls in middle school than I did the first 3 years of high school. We didn't call it dating. We were going with people, or whatever.
Oh, you were going steady. Did you wear each other's class rings?
We call going steady. We call
it
going. We say, will you go with me? First girlfriend was Jenny Skiles, and I asked her to go with me. And I always wondered where a fucking sixth grader's gonna go. But yeah. And then when I between my junior and senior year, I grew probably 6 inches in 9 months. And I got taller. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, and then I went
waiting for the dick joke.
Thank you. And then when I went to college, I grew another 3 inches in college. Now I'm 6'2", so it was blossomed all at once. So I just kind of it's so weird. I was the same way. I was a small, skinny kid, and I could eat anything, and it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And so it took me a long time, even after I gained a ton of weight, to get over the fact that I thought I was a skinny person.
You absolutely have to learn your relationship with food all over again because you learn that you can eat whatever you want. And then, especially on top of that, I'm like, oh, I don't have a shoot coming up. I can be a little fat right now. I can just go a little ham. And that turns into, I'm somebody my mom has a really addictive personality. I'm the same way. So as soon as I let myself slide, it's forget it, it's gone.
Yeah, it's a steep slope.
Yeah, you have to be regimented.
No, I get that.
To stick with it.
I get that. And there's been times where I was not in very good shape, and some times where I was in pretty good shape in my life, and it's like I definitely felt better. Like it took a lot of work to get there, and it's really hard. And I admire people who can do it all the time, but it's worth it when you can do it.
It is.
So what's next, Meg? What are you going to be doing next?
I just opened the print shop, so actually tonight I'm gonna finally catch up on print orders. That's my big Thursday night.
Explain to people what that is.
So I have a print shop where I offer prints of my cosplay work. And so it's something that I have done previously and then shut down because I was so overwhelmed with orders. And
wow, that's a good problem to have.
It is, but it's also like kind of a crappy
Nailed
problem.
It.
Yeah, after
A+? Like an A+. 80 attempts. You're killing it though. This game is notoriously hard. And where can people find that?
My store envy, megturney.storeenvy.com.
And they can buy like photos of your cosplay. What's your most popular one right now?
Probably one of the 3-packs because if you get a 3-pack, one of them is half off. It's probably Princess Leia.
Okay.
Princess Leia, Black Cat are always going back and forth. I also did an Elizabeth boudoir shoot, so people were pretty into that. So I was very thankful that people were into that.
Is there a cosplay that you have on the horizon that you want to do?
Yes, I'm working on a Lady Sylvanas cosplay, which is my first foam core armor project.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a lot of sewing in my cosplay, but I've never done armor work, so I'm really excited to do that. Actually, Adam Ellis's girlfriend, I was like watching her, Grace, I was watching her videos to be like inspired to work on my foam armor. And my mom is really excited that I'm doing it because Sylvanas is her favorite World of Warcraft character, so yeah, I'm excited all around.
I love the stuff about cosplay because Grace is a cop,
Yeah.
And then she goes home and makes these costumes.
She's such a badass. I was just talking about how she's like my hero.
Yeah,
she's
so
like,
badass.
She like takes a punch in the face from a dude and is like, oh yeah, it's a Tuesday, and I'm like, I'd be murdered.
She's like, yeah, it's just like when they're on PCP and they punch you in the face, it hurts way worse.
Oh my
Holy
God.
cow!
I would be dead.
Yeah.
I was in a sumo suit and I had to hit my head and then I had a seizure. So
You're out for 6 months.
I was out forever. Never the same. And she's like, yeah, I got punched by a crackhead today.
So one of the questions that somebody wanted to ask was the ongoing joke of your relationship with Ryan, and does that affect Gavin?
No. Here's the thing. I think people, and I get where it comes from. I think it's a really sweet place where it comes from that people worry about Gavin or Lori when people joke about Ryan and I, or we joke about it. If it ever bothered Gavin, if anything in this world bothered Gavin, I would never bring it up. I would never make that joke if it bothered Gavin.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
I didn't warn him about you though.
Yeah, right. You did say. I did say she was a slut. Just want to say that. Just want to put that out there.
Hide the potato chips from Slutty.
Take some pictures of your boobs, Slutty. Then you can have the chips. Yeah, no, there's nothing that I do at work for jokes or for play or for anything that's worth jeopardizing what Gavin and I have. So, jokes included about Ryan. So if it bothered him at all, I wouldn't joke about it.
Yeah.
And if it bothered Lori, we wouldn't joke about it. You know, things change. You know what I mean? A joke could not bother someone, and then 6 months later it could. So Ryan and I regularly check in with each other about like, hey, like, was so-and-so, everybody's cool? Like, anybody upset? Or was so-and-so upset about that thing we did? Or,
nice.
You know what I mean? Like, we check in with each other a lot.
And I wish, the unfortunate part of that is you can change, and sometimes the audience or the people who are in on the joke on a public level aren't as quick to adapt.
Yes.
And so you kind of have to especially that repetitive meme style humor. It's like people just say it like it's like a fill in the blank. Like, oh, this is the situation where I make fun of Meg and Ryan for being a couple.
Right.
And so then that situation comes up and people do it. It's like, yeah, we're not doing that anymore, kind of a thing, you know?
Yeah, we had something similar to that, Bernie, with you guys would always joke about Gavin and Barbara being together when I first started dating Gavin.
Yeah.
And you were like, just want to let you know, we're not going to do that anymore.
Right.
Not because it bothered me, but because it's the perception of disrespect was really important. And I thought that was really an interesting thing that we talked about when I first started working here. Like, I was like, no, it's cool. And you're like, no, it's cool. People know you're here. We don't want to seem disrespectful. Little did you know Ryan and I would ruin all of that.
Yeah, that went out the window just a few years later. Well, it's one of those things, you always want to be sensitive to people. It's like, I think a lot of times when you work with somebody that you're dating, there's a lot of baggage that other people bring to that conversation
Yep.
enough, then you don't want to make that harder for anybody else.
And you never want to put somebody in a position where they feel like they have to say, like, I'm not okay with the joke, because it automatically makes someone feel like they're not cool enough, or they're ruining someone else's fun.
And I think overall at Rooster Teeth, I think people have a pretty good sense of that. Like, there's a lot of humor that we do. It's like really aggressive, like hazing kind of humor, especially like the Achievement Hunter office on the podcast. And it's like, I think like people think, oh man, it's so mean. It's like, if anybody's ever has their feelings hurt, it's very easy for them to say that, and then we just don't do that anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing about like the jokes about Ryan and I are that, you know, it's so not in the realm of possibility that for us it seems like it's so silly. But to the audience, I guess they feel
it's really hard.
like...
I hit on him constantly, and he won't go for it, so I do my best.
It's also just, like, it's really sad to me that we have a great chemistry, Ryan and I, for free play and for the shows that we do together.
I've never seen a laser in this game before, by the way. I've never made it even close to this far.
And it's really frustrating even when we're just, like, joking or being, like, friendly, like normal people are. They're like, oh, flirting. And it's like, men and women can be friends. Like, it doesn't always have to be. Oh, no?
No. I agree with you.
Yeah. So, like he was my seizure buddy in Australia because Gavin wasn't there. And then people were like, oh.
So what do you mean seizure buddy?
Oh, when I went to Australia, well, because I had my seizure right before I went to Australia.
Uh-huh.
And then, so there was the big question of whether or not I was going to actually be cleared to go.
Right.
And the neurologist told me, okay, you can go, but you need to have somebody who is basically your seizure buddy who's going to watch you and know what to do if you do have a seizure.
That's so scary. You must have been scared by that, right?
I was terrified. The thing, though, was, like, Gavin was not only terrified because I'd had a seizure, which is a very serious medical problem, but also that he wasn't going to be there to see me in Australia, to see me on the plane where, you know, my neurologist was concerned, or to be there if something happened. So, honestly, because Gavin was so worried, I was not worried. You know what I mean? Like, I had to be so cool for Gavin that it made me, like...
Yeah, it's really hard when, like, someone you know is having a health issue and you're just kind of standing by. That can be, you know, enormously stressful.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, I'm glad that everything, how is everything?
Everything's good right now. So at this point, we're in like this really weird, I don't know, period where I did a CET scan and it's didn't come back positive for epilepsy, but that only means that day my brain was not producing the proper brain waves to give me a positive reading. So you never know, like your brain could still make abnormal brain waves. You just didn't catch them that day, which is kind of a shitty test, but whatever. So at this point, I have been diagnosed with some sort of seizure disorder, but it is like a fill in the blank for what it is. And then we're also in this point where my neurologist now says, oh, you mean your syncope episode? Because saying I've had a seizure is much more dangerous for things like driving or, you know what I mean? Like having, it's something that like having it on your record is not a great thing to have on your record. So at this point now we call it my syncope episode, and we hope that I never have another again.
Yeah, I understand we want to avoid some terminology that like sets off red flags for sure.
Yeah. Oh god, these things suck.
Well, Meg, I thought you did a tremendous job playing Super Meat Boy today.
Thank you.
Look at that. It's just on cue on level complete. Look at that. Hey, Meg, thanks for talking to us.
Thank you. Yeah, it's fun.
Hey, it hurts.
It does.
Okay?
I'm sorry. Hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.